Hey everybody, welcome to The Current, our Facebook Live news show made by young adults for young adults. Each week we're going to be bringing to you a new show focused on things that you care about, so environmental justice, college affordability, and even just how to get a job. Today, as you can see behind me, we're talking about the government, but don't click away yet. We're going to be talking about Trump. Again, don't click away yet. We're going to be talking specifically about his aggressiveness towards the government in the past week. So after a nationwide restraining order on his travel ban, a judge, of course, restrained that, and then he put out a tweet, and he said, quote, "Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril. If something happens, blame him and court system. People are pouring in. Bad." So yesterday, in a speech, he kind of said something similar again. Take a look.
It's really incredible to me that we have a court case that's going on so long. As you know, in Boston, we won it with a highly respected judge and a very strong opinion. But now we're in an area that, let's just say, they are interpreting things differently than probably 100% of the people in this room. A bad high school student would understand this. Anybody would understand this.
After that, Neil Gorsuch replied, and again, Neil Gorsuch is the Supreme Court nominee that Trump is appointing. He's not in yet, but he is his nominee. He replied, and he said that what Trump said was demoralizing and disheartening. So Trump targeting a member of the judicial system brings up a really important question. Who has the power in the Trump administration? Well, if you can remember maybe back to elementary school or the early days, the government is split up into 3 branches. And today we're going to be talking about those 3 branches, and we have a little quiz for everyone at home. So on The Current, this is a Facebook Live news show, and the best part is you can interact with us right in the comments section. So as I'm playing this quiz, and I'm going to need some help, and some of our participants are going to need some help too, leave your comments below. I have a producer right in my ear. She's going to tell me that you're asking, and we're going to get to those questions. So we have Eli GOODSTEIN, a senior producer here in the Media Center. He's going to be leading this quiz. He thought up this whole thing, and it's going to be great. Eli, just tell us a little bit about the quiz and what we got.
Thanks for having me, Sebastian. So today we're going to focus on a quiz about the balance of power in the government. We're going to talk about the different powers that each branch of the government has, and we're going to test the skills of students and faculty here on campus, and we're going to see if they know their stuff. And we're going to do all of this in relation to Donald Trump and the recent questions involving the judicial branch and how they relate to each other and how the powers work between them. Right. So first up, we have our special guest, Maddie. She's going to do the first part of the quiz. And here, why don't you come over here? So we have these categories set up right here. So we have laws right here. We have vetoes. We have related to war and warfare, treaties. We have stuff related to officials, and we have the sort of miscellaneous category, which is also probably one of our most important categories. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to read out the categories right here, each one, and you're going to take each card and you're going to put it next to the branch that you think is the right one. Awesome. So the first 3 we have here are rights and enacts laws, we have enforces laws, and we have interprets laws. So Maddie, why don't you go ahead and figure out which branch it goes with.
Cool. Okay, so for laws, Congress definitely starts the process by writing the law. However, where President Trump is sitting, he can enforce these laws or not. And then on the judicial side, they have the power to interpret the law.
You are correct. You just got all of those right. Congratulations.
Awesome.
So the next category we have up here is about vetoes. Do you know what vetoes are?
I do.
You do know. Okay. So we have vetoes laws and we have overrides vetoes. So why don't you figure out which one it goes with, and then we'll see if you get it right.
Great. So if the executive branch doesn't like the law that's proposed, I'm pretty sure they can veto that law. Put that right under there, and then override the veto. Congress can fight back and override that executive action.
You are correct. So the executive branch does have the power to veto laws, and the legislative branch has the power to override vetoes.
Awesome.
So our next category, this is your last one before we move on to the next group, but you're doing a really, really great job. We have declares war and wages war. So do you understand the difference between those two?
Yes.
Okay.
It's trickier, but I think I get it.
Okay. I think you can do this too. So why don't you, again, figure out which branch it goes with, and we'll see if you get it right.
Cool. Okay. So Congress can declare, but the president and the executive branch can wage.
You are correct. Woo! Congratulations.
Awesome.
You just won all of those categories. You got them all right. We have some candy for you as your prize.
Wow.
So if Sebastian can go around and get some candy really quick, we can give it to Maddie.
Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Oh, here's that. I'll take
You can pick whichever
And
one
there's
you
her
want.
candy.
Thanks for joining us. So next we have one of our faculty members here at Annenberg. Her name is Mickey Turner, and she's going to do the last three categories that we have here. They're treaties related to officials and appointments. Then we have our sort of miscellaneous category in the back here. So why don't you come on in, Mickey?
Those are hard.
So
Okay.
Mickey, we're going to start with treaties. So the two categories that we have here are negotiate treaties and ratifies treaties. So let's see if you can figure out which one goes with which branch.
I'm gonna say Homeboy can negotiate the treaties, and Congress can ratify them.
You are correct.
Oh,
You nailed it.
all right.
So yes, the president can negotiate treaties with different countries, but the legislative branch is in charge of actually ratifying those treaties.
That's what's up. All right.
So the next category we have here is related to appointments and officials. We have appoints officials, we have confirms those appointments, and then we have impeachment. So why don't you take a second, think about it, and we'll decide which category,
Okay.
which parts of the category go where.
I think he appoints officials. They confirm, and hopefully this will be happening soon. Impeach.
Actually, you are incorrect when it comes to impeach officials. You are correct with confirms appointments and appoints officials. Oh, yeah, and appoints officials. But the people who can impeach officials are actually the legislative branch. So this goes over here. But
That's a trick question.
It is a trick question.
All right.
so, no matter what, you got most of them right. We're still going to give you candy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. That was fun. Okay.
So, last up, we have one more person who's going to do our last category. What's your name?
My name is Monica.
Monica. And what's your major?
I'm pre-engineering.
Pre-engineering?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So we're doing this quiz today. It's related to the balance of power in government. We've been, placing the different powers where, for the different branches. We have this last category here that's sort of a miscellaneous sort of, very important category, but still doesn't fit in any other category. So I want you to take these and I want you to place them where you think that they should go.
Okay, well, I know this one for sure.
Okay.
And then I think this one is judicial.
Yes, you are correct. Congratulations. You win some candy.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining us. So that about does it for our little quiz about the balance of power in the government. Everyone did a pretty good job. I think they did a really good job, Sebastian. I don't know. I mean, we got some smart people here on campus.
Yeah, and none of them saw the questions before, so that was really good. I saw them before, so we realized I can't do this quiz anymore because then, of course, I would have seen them already. But now we have a couple questions, and we're going to bring in a professor from the Price School of Public Policy to give us kind of an expert's take on Trump and how he relates to kind of all of these powers here and the separation of powers and the branches. So we're going to bring in that expert now. And Eli, I guess we're just going to, actually here, Eli's going to be giving the questions, but right here we have Frank ZERUNYAN, correct?
Yes.
Frank ZERUNYAN, and he's a professor here at the School of Public Policy. Coincidentally, he actually just wrote an op-ed about this very topic that we're talking about right now. That's in the Business Journal if you want to check it out. But so let's just get down into it.
So our first question has to do with Trump and his rhetoric surrounding the, his newly appointed nominee, Neil Gorsuch, and the judge that he held the ban, that he's currently holding the travel ban. So I just want to understand a little bit more where you think the Trump administration is heading when it comes to his rhetoric and his relationship with the judicial branch.
Well, that answer is very easy. I don't know. Who knows where the Trump administration is leading? But you're probably referring to the so-called judge comment. And I wrote that op-ed, which was published yesterday in the Daily Journal. It's clearly misunderstanding or miscalculating the separation of powers. As you correctly pointed out and played this game here, we have three branches of government, and they have specific purposes, as you outlined. And our framers were very intelligent people in creating a government against tyranny, really. I mean, it was a government created out of protest in order to not give one all of the power. And I think that perhaps it's going to take a little time for a chief executive in a business sector to understand how three branches of government works, in order for him perhaps to apply a little bit of this clear understanding of each equal powers of these three branches. So when you do that, when you try to marginalize another branch, actually completely destabilizes our system or constitutional republic. So it's not helpful, certainly, and accomplishes nothing. Because understanding judges and understanding the legal profession is a completely different subject matter. I think most don't understand. That's my training. My doctor's in law. I practiced law for a number of years before coming to academia. So I have many friends who are judges, and the mentality and the way we think in the judiciary or in the legal profession is quite different than most people think through politics. I think Mr. Trump is miscalculating this and is thinking about more politics than the legal aspect of this and the importance of the judicial branch. Particularly now when one of his nominees who wears the same robe as the guy he just offended. It's an Article 3 judge. It's a Article 3, according to our Constitution, allows these judges to operate in the judicial branch. And it's really troublesome to Judge Gorsuch, who's now going to come in these hearings. And I could understand completely his comments yesterday because to him, it's an offense to his robe just as well as the robe of the person that the president offended. My suspicion is that he'll get over this over time, and it's kind of a learning on the job kind of a thing for him. Ironically, however, he's got this power. He's going to win this case ultimately.
How so?
He's going to win this case because there's a clear statute on point. There's a federal statute in 8 U.S.C. That in the codes, in the federal codes, that gives the president power. Used this, President Clinton used this, President Obama used this at different times in trying to bar entry to the United States through our borders. I believe Carter during the Iran debacle, Clinton during the Haitian crises, President Obama recently through Iraq, for example. So this is definitely within his power. It's just a matter of writing it correctly and articulating it correctly, which was not done. So it created an administrative nightmare for all of the entry points of the United States, really put legitimate people who should have entered the country back. You had scholars, you had green card holders, to which this did not apply at all. But unfortunately, through a very failed implementation process, this became a problem. Because theoretically, if his aides were to write this correctly, he's got the power to do this. And he will do it to the extent that the power is given to him in the code. And ultimately, my suspicion is he'll win this case. Although the executive order will most likely be amended and will be rewritten to comply with the code and not to run afoul of our Constitution.
Gotcha. So, speaking of that, let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say, and I know I've done a lot of research this week about how, some presidents in the past, like you said, have, they've defied court orders. I know Andrew Jackson, back in the day, there was a state law about, Native American lands and how there were federal treaties involved in those lands.
Correct.
And he wanted to remove people from those areas, and that led to the Trail of Tears and all of that. But in the end, he eventually had to agree with John Marshall, who was Chief Justice at that time. So in this situation, in the modern day, if Trump hypothetically defies a court order from the Supreme Court, what are some actions that can be taken by the other branches? So, like, in relation to these powers that we talked about.
Well, I mean, you're describing a constitutional crisis because theoretically not following a federal court order may mean a contempt citation by the court to whoever that person is. And if it's the President of the United States, which presumably is subject to the order, you may have literally a constitutional crisis. I don't expect that.
Could he be impeached?
That's a different topic.
Okay.
That's a different topic.
Okay.
That's totally different topic. For him to be impeached, he needs to violate a law that is either crimes or misdemeanors. In other words, he has to commit one of those things in order to be impeached, which is a totally different subject matter. I really don't think it's going to come to this. I really don't think that at the end of the day, this will become an issue. I think the courts, as I told my colleagues a number of days ago, when everyone was getting excited over this, this will be kind of unfortunate that the executive order was written the way it was. I think the courts will give him advice, tell him what to do really. And ultimately it'll be written in the right way for him to implement, as he has as I said, has the power to implement through the code. And it'll be done with. I really don't think we're going to get to a point where what you're describing is going to occur. And there's a difference, by the way, in disagreeing with the court's ruling or the way he did was attacking a Article 3 judge in person. There's a difference between criticizing the outcome of the judge's decision, which is done all the time. I mean, President Bush has done it with the Gitmo detainees, for example. When that happened, President Obama has done it. President Obama lectured Judge Alito and a bunch of the justices who were sitting in front of him during one of the State of the Union's address for the Citizens United case. I mean, it happens all the time, but typically they are for the decisions that they've made. No one went after the judge personally. In short memory, you're correct in the history, but in short memory, no one has gone after the judge, calling him so-called or high school graduate or whatever. He doubled down again the last conversation he had. But to be honest, I think he's an authoritarian in the private sector. It's not the same in the government sector. And he's going to learn over time, and it's going to take time to learn. And my hope is that that comes, quicker than later, and that it doesn't come at a big cost to the American people. It is what it is. He's the President of the United States. I mean, that's how we elect presidents. Electoral College is the system, and he got elected President of the United States. So we just need to now see to it that it works the proper way, and that's the beauty of the system, right? It'll work, but everyone needs to have patience to it and in it. That the legislative will do its job, although right now the legislative portion is extremely polarized, and it's been a little bit so tough. But that goes years back, by the way. It's not just now. This legislative branch has been polarized for quite a while now. It goes back a couple of presidents at this point, where it's been really polarized. And of course, changing rules has consequences. Last administration, Harry Reid, changed a bunch of rules, and it's coming back to bite.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you on and answering these questions, because we are definitely not experts. So thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Good luck, kids.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Well, that was incredibly enlightening for me. I don't know about you, but
yeah,
I learned.
I hope everybody watching kind of learned a little bit about Trump and his powers and what he can and can't do.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely learned a lot based on what he just said, and I'm really happy that we got to do this today. So. Yeah,
definitely. So. If you learned something new, definitely comment that below so other people can see that and kind of get to know a little bit more about like what we talked about today and what that professor just kind of touched on. But until then, we are going to start wrapping up. Again, this was The Current, our weekly news show here at USC Annenberg Media. Of course, always on Facebook Live. You can comment down below, share, like, and do what you will with this post. This is Eli Goodstein, a senior producer here in the Media Center. We're going to be signing off, but we will be here again same time next week. If you want to keep following us for USC news and updates in or around campus, you can always find us on your favorite social platforms, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever you want, at USC Annenberg Media. Or if you just want to go visit a post on our webpage, you can go to to uscannenbergmedia.com. All right, guys. Well, follow us. We hope to see you there. But until then, we'll see ya.
See ya.